everybody, my name is Rachel. I'm here to introduce your speaker today. His name is Wylie Manson. He's a student at UNT, his senior year. He is going to tell you how to change a tire today. Growing up, he had a stepfather who opened his own automotive shop, so he's really familiar with car safety. So without further ado, here he is.
Alright, well thank you guys. Again, my name is Wylie Manson. Thank you, Rachel, for introducing me. Before we go ahead and get started, does anybody need to use the restroom? No? Good? Perfect. We can just make sure our cell phones are off and we're good to go. We'll go ahead and jump in and we'll get started. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and have an icebreaker for you guys. That way y'all are opening up, y'all feel a little bit more comfortable here, alright? So we're just going to have each one of you introduce yourself and just say a unique fact about yourself.
My name is Joseph, and I play football at Allen High School.
Alan, that's awesome.
My name is Aaron, I really like to color coding.
Perfect.
My name is Kari, and I like to draw.
Awesome.
My name is Tim. I'm a retired police officer, and I'm really glad that you're having this seminar. I've encountered numerous stranded motorists, and I'll tell you what, there's 3 different types that I encounter. There's one that they do not know how to change a tire. Number 2, they do not have the proper equipment. Number 3, once they get the tire on, they notice it's flat. So please.
Absolutely. Well, thankfully we're going to be covering all of those topics. Thank you for that information. So we're going to go ahead and get started and jump into how we're going to do this, right? So the first things first, we need to be prepared. Now, an interesting fact for you guys, every second in the United States, 7 tires are punctured on the road. Now, that's going to be 220 million flat tires in a year. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to be one of those guys. But unfortunately, sometimes we are. And if we are, we got to be prepared. Some things to have on hand at all times, just to be prepared, is going to be a flashlight, a pair of gloves, roadside reflectors. We're going to have a tire iron, our tire jack, and anything else that you might see suitable. I prefer to have a poncho on me, just in case the weather's bad. You never know when this is going to happen. With all those things, we can go ahead and get started. So first things first, we're going to have to take the hubcap off. Now on this vehicle, we're not going to have a hubcap, so it's nothing to worry about, but in some vehicles you will have to remove it to expose those the lug nuts that we're going to be taking off. In this vehicle, it's going to be a 6 lug tire. And here you can see that we have a 4 lug and a 5 lug. Not that it really is going to have any difference, it's just different tires. Different things to be aware of. We're going to go ahead and take that tire iron, or that 4-way. Me personally, I have my own. I'll be using this today. We're going to go ahead and try to break the seal that those lug nuts are on the tire with. We're going to get in here. We're going to go ahead and break the seal on the ground. Once the tire is lifted up in the air, it can be spun. Makes it a little bit more difficult to remove these lug nuts while it's up in the air if the tire is still spinning.
So what you're saying is you should actually loosen those up before you actually lift the tire.
Lift the tire up, correct. Yes. Alright. So now that we got all those released, we're going to go ahead and go under and use our jack. Now there are a few different types of jacks that are out there. We have a scissor jack, which is displayed on the left, and a bottle jack that is displayed on the right. I would use whichever one is recommended for your vehicle. I've checked, and I'm going to be using a floor jack, and I've checked to make sure that this is safe to use. Now this is my personal one. Again, I'm using this for a convenience factor. We're going to go ahead and get this up onto the axle here. And I know y'all can't exactly see what I'm doing, but if you look at the presentation, it's going to go ahead and show you where this is going to be put onto. It just takes a little bit of time to get it all the way up there. All right. Go in for the position. Alright, now that it's securely on there, we'll give it a few little tugs. I'm going to grab that flashlight that we carry with us. Go ahead and put this on. I like my headlight. A little convenient for me. I'm going to jump on here on this side just to make sure that it is secure. It is, we're good to go. Now we can go ahead and lift that tire up off the ground.
Now, Wylie, from the looks of it, it's underneath the axle housing. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're gonna lift it up about an inch up off the ground. And remember, we're not actually changing a flat tire here for demonstration purposes, but you would have to compensate and lift it up about 4 to 5 inches up off the ground, depending on the tire, to make sure there's enough room you can put your new tire on. So we're gonna come back over here now that it's lifted up. I'm gonna go ahead and take my bolts off and just take these lug nuts off. And when we do, we're going to put them in a safe place nearby us. The last thing you want to do is lose a lug nut. And while I'm doing this, is there any questions that have arisen in the sound?
Do you have to be strong?
You have to be strong to change a tire?
Yes.
No. There's a few different techniques and tricks that you can use if you're not as physically inclined as others. Me personally, I like to use a long shafted wrench. That way you can apply more pressure and it's easier to remove, break the seals and remove those lug nuts on the tires. There's a few more things I'll kind of mention as we keep going through. I'll get these last 3 off here. Again, just making sure they're all safe. We haven't lost any. Alright, once the last one's off, you can go ahead and pick it up and remove it. Starting your brake caliper, your rotor. As we discussed earlier, the reason that we double checked on making sure that it was secure on the axle is the last thing you want is for once your tire is up, once the jack is lifted the tire up in the air, you don't want that to fall. If you're on concrete, it's going to bend, it's going to break that rotor, and you're going to have to get it towed, and that's not something you can do while roadside. So again, very important to make sure that jack is secure on your axle.
So Wylie, would you put that? I'm assuming you would put that tire in the bed of the truck in this occasion, or
There's no wrong way to do it, really, as long as your new tire is secured. I have no problem putting this up in the back. I would recommend immediately going to a tire technician or dealership
absolutely
to have it repaired afterwards. So wherever you store your old spare tire is up to you. Now we're going to be using this tire again just for demonstration purposes. We're going to go ahead and wheel that back on over. I like to make sure that my holes are lined up with my bolts before we get up underneath it. Now another trick to help out if you're not physically inclined, like we talked about, is once you slide underneath, you're going to put your thighs around the tire. Let it help you scoot the tire back fully up against the rotor, and then you can use your thighs. Go ahead and lift the tire up and position it on your rotor. And once you get it up there, I use my legs. I like to hold it in position, and we're just going to hand tie all of our lug nuts back onto the tire.
now why is it you use your hand for the rather than the socket at first?
I do this just because you can use the socket if you want. It's just easier to position the lug nuts onto the bolt.
I see.
And then
I see.
it's easier to feel if there's any retention or resistance coming from the lug nut. The last thing you want to do is just strip out your bolts. And again, that's going to be something you can't fix roadside. You're going to have to get it replaced, get it towed away, and you don't want to be paying someone to do the job that you can do yourself. All right.
I got a question too.
Yes.
Are all the lug nuts the same?
Absolutely, yes. All the lug nuts are going to be the same when it comes from the dealership. You can buy aftermarket lug nuts that might be lock lug nuts, and they're going to need a specific key to go ahead and unlock those. But as far as this goes, it's going to be manufactured standard dealership. So once we get all those on there, I'm just going to go back with the socket one more time. Just kind of tighten them up a little bit more. Make sure everything's good. And the pattern I'm going to be doing when I'm tightening these is going to be a star pattern. And what that is, you're going to start on one end, tighten them up, switch over to the other side, tighten it up, and then you're going to go back over to the other side and do the one to the left of it. And once you go back over, you're going to go to the left of that one, creating that star pattern. The reason for that, it's going to apply the same amount of force between all 6 bolts and allows you to be back on there.
What happens if you have 5 bolts and you can't go across them?
So it's going to be the same, but just as close as possible to get them all, on there.
What was the question, Wylie? I didn't hear it.
What if you have a 5 bolt compared to a 6?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're still going to do the same. Just go across and go back to the left, left, and left. It might be uneven, but it's still the most accurate way to go ahead and have that done. And just lastly, we're going to go ahead and put this back on. Come down and tighten it up. And we're just going to get it about as tight as possible. We recommend using a torque wrench, but not everybody has those at their disposal while they're out and about. So we would just put it as tight as possible with your hands. And then we would recommend going to your dealership or a tire technician immediately after and just making sure that everything is secured. Me personally, this truck is supposed to be set at 150 pounds of torque. And this is actually a torque wrench within itself, so it's a little bit more convenient for me.
Now, Wylie, I noticed that wheel has not moved at all. Do you have the emergency brake on or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Personally, I like to put the
Okay.
emergency brake on, and you can even use chalk blocks to go ahead and block it up if you need.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, that's definitely an extra safety precaution you can take, and definitely helps out. I would recommend it. So now that you're set, you're going to lower this jack, let that tire fall back onto the ground, pull that out. You're going to go ahead and pick up the roadside reflectors, and you're going to go ahead and get back in the vehicle. Make sure you have everything that you took out, and you're going to be cautious when you're getting back on the highway. Just as you got to be careful whenever you're getting back, when you're exiting the highway, you're going to be careful when you're getting back on. So people doing up to 60, 80 miles an hour, you're coming from 0. So turn your hazards off, we're going to turn that blinker on, and we're going to proceed with caution as we get back on. I know earlier you mentioned being a previous officer. Is there any more light you can shed on this situation of the appointments?
Yes. You know, in the history of my experience, what I would tell you is most accidents occur when somebody is starting to change a tire, or when somebody is actually putting away their equipment. They come too far out into the highway, so that's something you need to be careful of.
Absolutely. There are many, many accidents that happen when people are changing a tire and being roadside. So you don't want to be one of those people, you know. So you definitely need to be conscious about your surroundings and everything that's going on. Thank you. Outside of that, I just want to say that if you're never comfortable or if you forget how to change a tire, you can call for help. You can call 911, roadside assistance, any third-party roadside assistance that can help you out. There's also a non-emergency number for each district, and we do have those listed on the pamphlets that we gave you on the very last page. Now, I do recommend you take these pamphlets with you and go ahead and put those in your vehicle. They're going to have a checklist of everything that we talked about, everything you're going to need in your vehicle, give you a little summary of what we did today, and again, those numbers in case they're needed. Are there any more questions we can help out with today?
Thank you, Wylie.
No, I appreciate you guys. Thank you again for being here, and I hope you learned a very valuable technique today.
Yes.
Thank you.